6. Oh. Okay, so we'll start the meeting at 6:03. And right now, as far as the agenda, any new hearings, anything changed to the
Nope.
hearings?
It's same agenda as.
Okay. And then approve the agenda from last, approve the meeting minutes. Don, any issues? Patrick?
None.
Scott? Okay, go on, no.
So you want to get into the septic permits?
Yes.
So Valerie, yours is up first, the 95 West Shore Drive.
I can do that.
All right, so do you want to just push it to the next meeting, or did you want to look at it at all with them?
No, it's not gonna be that too. I just have to go a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a gentleman that purchased a house from a real estate broker that listed as a 4-bedroom. I pulled out the previous permits and they were listed as 2-bedroom. The assessors had it for a 4-bedroom. So the real estate broker probably got the information from the assessors being a 4-bedroom. The guy bought it, thought it was a 4-bedroom. So when we redesigned it as a 4-bedroom. So there's a problem there with the code, the way it's written, because it's gotta be full compliance to be brought it up, and the last guy should have done it and didn't do it. So it's kind of a mess right now. So I can design it at full compliance. It does add a lot of extra expense for him because it's raising it up that extra foot of fill. And if you got, I'll show you a picture, it's got quite a bit of fill in it.
So it was purchased as a 3-bedroom? 4-bedroom. Or 4-bedroom.
Yeah,
And the septic design's only for 2.
so it was 1970.
Okay.
The permit was
Still
issued
goes all the
for
way
two
down the hill now, right to the buffer zone for the wetlands.
Does it have 4 bedrooms or?
It does have 4 bedrooms. And that's
So the
what a
whole
lot of it
breakout
is.
is where the cost is right now. Obviously, the
Yeah.
field itself is the
Yeah,
breakout.
well, it's still an extra foot under it, but the breakout is bringing on much more.
So what is the issue for us, for Board of Health? Because
Well, because where the code is written, anything that is an upgrade from 3 bedrooms to 4, from 2 to 4, whatever they upgrade to, that it wasn't existing, has to go full compliance, which means no variances. So I thought all the information was 4-bedroom and I designed it as a repair.
okay,
So I've got to take it back and make it full compliance, unfortunately.
Does he have plans to try to do anything this year?
Yeah, well, he's still working on the old system. He's still running with that. It's a failed system, but
Does he have plans to replace it this year, I guess?
yeah, he wanted to, yeah.
So, I guess just because of the year, and that won't meet until early November, if you guys are okay with it, if Valerie puts together a plan that's in full compliance, so no variances, are you okay with me signing a permit at a meeting for that, so we can do what he needs to do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt?
No,
Yeah,
you're not gonna
no
talk
problem.
about it, you know.
Yeah.
I brought some trick or treats.
Great, that's on me here.
What it takes.
You want to kiss John?
And with Mr. Bissett's, he's here.
Oh, okay.
So it's 37 Wapatick Pond Road. And originally, I think you had purchased a property and just kind of were under the assumption that the system was going to fail inspection. So kind of towards system replacement. So Valerie had put a plan together and it was getting really tough to fit something on the property that it was going to accommodate the house that was there. So I had asked him if a Title V inspection was ever performed, because you never know until you look at it, and he said it hadn't been. So he had Dave Favreau, I think, had come out and done the inspection, and basically ended up conditionally passing the system. So it needs a new D-box and a new tank, but he determined the field to
was
be
fine.
functional.
Saved you some money.
So
Yeah,
it's, so it's basically, this is a permit to replace that septic tank and distribution box.
So can he use the design from the original tank that I did on that plan, or is he gonna
I
need
just-
something?
Ended up doing, you've got space between where the system is now and the house. So it'll, it's just gonna go basically in the same spot as that metal tank, so 10 feet off the road.
Yeah.
Or 10 feet off the foundation, and it'll be a 1,500 gallon tank, which is.
With a divider or something? Is that
No,
what- or
so
just two tanks?
you only need a 2 compartment tank if it's other than a single home, so it's just a regular single family, which is a single compartment, 1,500.
Okay,
So that's what I wrote on here
Still
was,
gonna need a filter in it.
2 compartment.
No,
no,
single-
regular single 1,500 gallon. And so what I wrote on here is permit to replace septic tank, D-box and necessary sewer line only. The septic tank shall be a 1,500 gallon per Title V requirements with a gas baffle on the outlet. Tank will require at least 1 riser to within 6 inches of finished grade, and all 3 will need to be brought to within 6 inches if cover exceeds 9 inches. The D-box will also require a riser to within 6 inches if cover exceeds 9 inches. And they're basically gonna go in the same location as they are existing. And I would assume he's probably gonna replace the pipe in between them as part of it too.
I think, yeah, Chris Ozelai's gonna do it, so.
Chris is gonna do it.
Yeah.
Just if that secondary line is Orangeburg or something, yeah, they'll wanna replace it all over into the
Yeah,
system.
it actually has a cement box in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, so. I'll
So
pull
it
that
might,
up
it
and
might
replace
be
it.
a plastic pipe, but you won't know when you dig it up.
Yeah,
so there's nothing to vote on, it meets all.
Just a
Okay.
permit, because
Okay.
yeah, the
yeah, I
Title V
didn't know if I was
inspection.
supposed to show up, I forget I had nothing to do. Rainy night. what else you
Yeah.
gonna do?
reason to come out here.
Yeah, I'll need a
Me
nap
too,
after
guys.
last night, so. Yeah.
Today's 10/4.
10-4. First responder holiday.
I knew that.
I guess the whole week is first responder Memorial Week.
Ah.
You'll see a lot of flags half-mast this week for that.
So would I get a copy of what you just said tonight?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll call you tomorrow morning to
Okay.
let you know it's ready to pick up, and if, I think you paid all the fees for it.
Yep.
So really it'll just be coming and if you want, you can sign it right now and take it, actually, 'cause
Okay.
you don't owe me any money.
Yeah. That'd be good.
That line, and then just check off.
Okay.
So it was good that you came in tonight.
Mhm. See that?
That was
Pays to show up.
moving things right
Leave
along.
people. I know you if I need you next time.
So that's your
You stay too long, you get voted on before.
I'm getting
Yeah.
Perfect. So that one's yours. I always say, you keep that for yourself and make a copy for Chris.
Okay, all right, excellent.
Always make a copy.
Oh, yeah. Just like your registrations. It's easy, right?
Yep.
All right, thank you, thank you.
All right, take
Yeah,
care.
take care.
So is anybody online for either one of these?
So
on High Street?
285 Lake Road.
All right, so we're gonna jump to that.
Yep. So Chris Knuth is on here. He's the designer.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing, folks?
Good. Sure. You want to talk to him?
So this is an existing 1-bedroom home. It was purchased recently. The Title V inspection failed on the property. They're looking to replace it, but also increase flow from 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms. So it's a Presby system that's designed to accommodate that. It's actually a little over-designed for the gallons per day. But it's able to handle the 2 bedrooms that's proposed. Because it's an increase in flow, he's not asking for any variances. So it's in full compliance with your regs and with Title V.
Yeah.
And it's gravity fed, so a 1,500 gallon tank that'll gravity feed to Presby Legion Field.
Okay.
So pretty straightforward. It's got quite a slope in the back there. And so he does end up using a barrier and sloping it 2 to 1 just to catch the slope. Because you'd just be going forever to try to get it at 3 to 1.
Okay. So do you have any issues?
I don't have any. Chris, do you have anything to add?
Not really. You did a very nice job explaining it. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll
Maybe
go
you could
around,
come to other towns with me.
I'll go around to John. Do you have any questions?
No.
Patrick?
None.
Todd? Okay.
All right, so I'll give, they're signing the permit now, so I'll give Pamela a call tomorrow to let her know it's ready to pick up.
Yeah, tell her to pay her bill too, okay?
You might have to take care of
Guys,
that.
thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Yeah, bye now.
All right, and we got one more septic permit.
Okay.
So this is for High Street Lot 1. This was a lot that you had previously permitted 2018. The design has since expired and it transferred title. So there's a new owner that wants to develop the property. They essentially used the same design. The only change was that they switched from well to town water. Town water was available. It's just a pretty long run to get up to the house, but he chose to go that route. So it's a Presby system as well. It is gravity fed, so it's a 1,500 gallon septic tank that'll gravity feed to a 42 by 20 Presby leaching field. And new construction, so he's not requesting any variances to your regs. He's in
Okay.
full compliance with the Title V and your requirements.
All right.
I got no issues.
Easy.
I'll go around the table. John, do you have any issues or questions? Patrick?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is this for us?
Yeah.
It's got off that part of the house, it's on the slope. And they're gonna put in a drive-in garage on the first floor. So half the house will be garage, and then the second floor is the bed. That's what I got from the guy that was a kitty corner across.
Is it the same guys that owned it? For 10 years or so?
Yeah.
It feels like it goes empty for a long time and then they do something. it goes empty.
Exactly. It's got broken windows now and half the house. Yeah. I guess he demoed the inside down to just beams. And now he was looking to see what he could get done with it. So he had somebody from the town building committee or whatever.
Take one wall down.
Yeah.
Off you go.
All
Then-
set?
Yep, so the next item on here was 348 Orange Turnpike with Ramon Collazo. So just to kind of go back to the last time that we had really discussed this property, it was the meeting on August 2nd. And at that time, you had asked me to provide Ramon with a list of items that had to be addressed both for the septic system and the well. So I did send that on August 4th. And Ramon had gotten back to me initially and said that there was a mix-up with the well driller that's since been resolved. And I got an email from him on Friday from Ramon that said Isaac, who works for Henshaw Well Drilling, would reach out to me or Ramon and set up a time to collect the water sample per your regulation requirements.
Okay.
And then the next step would be connecting to the house. So I'll kind of let Ramon take over and
Okay.
you explain where he's at, and then we can go from there.
Hi, Ramon.
Good evening, everyone. So everything has been put in place. The electrical work has been done. We're just waiting now for Henshaw to come back in and with, Rick to collect the sample of water to get the testing done, because he had done it, but it's not in compliance. So I've asked him to come back out and do the testing with Rick. Once the testing comes back and it's approved, we should be able to connect it to the house. To remove, well, I'm not going to remove the old well because I'm going to use it for irrigation, but we are planning on tying into the new well for feeding the water into the house. So
Did you-
all I'm waiting for at the moment is for
Yeah.
Henshaw to make the arrangements with us to come out and get the test done.
Okay, well, am I wrong? I'm just trying to recall, because I've been here a couple times.
Mhm.
Didn't we test the new well and there was some issues, so, and we thought maybe one of the issues that the well was sitting for so long without use that you can actually get bacteria and get a test that's not true because the water hasn't been used.
It's
Yeah.
entirely possible. It depends on what the water has not been used. That is absolutely accurate. The previous issue that we had was that we had to frack it because
Yes.
we weren't getting enough water. So we did frack it. But we have been awaiting Henshaw to come back out and test it. I quite honestly, I do not know how we would overcome a potential issue with the bacteria buildup as a result of non-use unless we pump water out of the system and then let it fill back up again.
Sure.
Yeah, should we, I mean, this is an open discussion, so. Yeah, should we do that? 'Cause it's been
Yeah, I
sluggish
mean,
sitting
I would obviously defer to Isaac. He does this a lot more
Oh,
than me,
right.
but
Mhm.
typically with wells that you're getting ready to test or you're trying to determine yield, you
Flush it.
want to pump them out.
Yeah,
Um,
and how far down? Pump it all the way down or just
Yeah,
get
so
some?
you guys
movement?
require a 4-hour flow test, but it could happen a lot quicker than that. I mean, it's really, they'll fill up jars and they'll look at sediment, they'll look at clarity, and then they'll check to make sure that there's no chlorine because it can show up again. But
I guess.
I think, what you might be talking about is the initial test that he had submitted to us that they had done from ETR labs
Yeah.
that showed a higher level of arsenic.
Yes.
And that was something that we had talked about the last meeting where actually pretty often a well gets developed, a new well, and comes in just over the limit like this. So at least based on these test results, the limit for arsenic is 0.01 milligrams per liter, and this result came back at 0.011. So 1/100th over the limit. And I've just seen it quite a bit where we get these results initially, they do flush the well and the results come back.
So we should all go to Isaac and what do you suggest?
That's what I would say
Okay.
is you defer to him, let him make that determination as to whether it needs to be done or not.
You hearing all this, Ramon?
Yes.
Okay, so do you agree with that? And you will trust the driller. The driller's gonna come on site. We're gonna go, it's been sitting. We want to make sure we get a good test, an honest test that, that you're okay drinking the water that
Mhm.
you suggest running, flushing it or something. All right?
Mhm. I'm
Okay.
fine with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let the professionals handle this because this is not what I do.
Right.
So I'm gonna let Isaac be, our guide essentially to recommend to us what we should do.
You're good with that. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go around the table, Ramon. Is everybody happy with that? John, Pat?
Absolutely.
Sounds like
So
a good idea.
we're all in agreement, that we go to the driller, he comes on site, you talk to him, and what does he suggest?
Mhm.
Okay, is
Sounds good.
that all we needed for
Yeah,
tonight?
so just to go over the list of items, so the one that I put together August 4th, the first one was regarding the existing well and what the plans were with that. And like Ramon told you, he did give me an email back that said his intention was to keep it as an irrigation well. It meets the offsets for that, so we don't have to deal with the existing well. It'll still remain for irrigation use. The second item was the testing to have a lab that tests in accordance with Mass DEP certification standards, and Mass DEP approved do that test. So what we just discussed will resolve that item.
Okay,
And then we still need a well completion report from Henshaw for the well. So I still haven't seen that from Isaac yet. So really, at this point, it's the water test and the well completion report to finish out the well.
all right, but Isaac, once he gives you that report, do you need to go on site to verify, or he gives
No.
it that, we go by his report?
We go by his report, and so I had forwarded the model regulations, model well regulations from the state that talk about well yield for a home to Ramon earlier. We just haven't seen the report to be able to take the well yield and make sure that's adequate. And then as far as the septic goes, I had talked to Mark Popham. I was out with him a little bit ago, and he basically has everything drawn up. He was just waiting for word that they had connected the well to the house, and that's what they were using, so that he could properly certify to it. So we're still waiting on that. And then the other thing is a 2-bedroom deed restriction. That's required.
We would just say that it would go on to the,
It's got to get recorded on the deed. I have sample language, so if I haven't provided it to you already, Ramon, I can do that. And it's basically, the requirement that we see pretty often, especially with all the camps in town. Anything that's designed for less than 3 bedrooms requires a deed restriction per state code.
okay. So once we get all this information, we approve, we would state that at the hearing as far as a deed restriction, or?
So it's just a permit requirement. So all those items are just permit requirements. The only reason why we're doing that is because it's stretched out because of different circumstances. So you would ask them to come back and provide an update in August. And that's why we wrote that letter. And now he's coming back to say, where he's at in this whole process.
All right, if he gets all this done, it isn't, you're fine.
We're done. We can sign off and be done with everything. Yeah.
Ramon, you agree with all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go around the table. Does anybody have any questions? John? No. Patrick?
No, only a comment, Ramon. It's been a long journey, but it sounds like we're getting close here, so.
It definitely has, and I can't wait to get this past me. So
Yeah.
behind us. So I
Good.
appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Okay,
We hope for the best.
yeah,
Thank you.
all right.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, you too,
All
Ramon.
right. Bye-bye.
So the only other item I've got on here is the COVID-19 discussion.
Okay,
So I don't know, Jim had sent an email to you, Jim Gareffi. I think it was Monday or Tuesday last week. And so it only,
Are we done?
we're still recording. Yeah, so she's recording the whole thing. So he had sent an email to you with some information that included the vaccination rates and case numbers that you guys had asked to be posted to the
Yes.
website every week. So we had hired that public health educator that works mostly with the nurses. So she's basically taken all the data that the state releases every Thursday and putting together a report for you that is getting posted on the website. I had talked to Mary about putting some things up on one of the highway sideboards. And I guess there was some reluctance from the department that owns the board to do that. So we can't go there, but we do have like some information that went on to the website, and it's up there and available to anybody who wants to look at it.
Okay.
So
all right.
one of the things that Jim had mentioned in the email that he sent you regarded case tracing and contact tracing. So just in case you guys aren't familiar with it, we haven't really gone over it in a while. If anybody is identified as testing positive for COVID-19, or they're identified as a close contact, which would be anybody within 6 feet of a confirmed COVID-19 case for 15 minutes cumulatively over a 24-hour period, then they're required to quarantine. If you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, which means you've either gotten the 2 doses of the Pfizer and Moderna, or the 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson, and 2 weeks have passed after your last vaccination, then you're considered fully vaccinated. If you were a close contact of somebody that had COVID-19, and you're vaccinated, you are not required to quarantine.
Oh.
You're required to monitor your symptoms. So really the only time that quarantining would come up is if somebody was unvaccinated and considered a close contact.
Okay.
And so just in case people ask you, we do some of the case tracing locally. Most of it is with the kids and schools and programs.
Yeah.
And then kind of the general public. So like if you were to get it, or if I were to get it, we send those to the state case tracing collaborative, and they deal with those people and give them instructions. The thing that's been mentioned is that it seems like it's becoming harder and harder to communicate with people that we're supposed to be contacting. They're hanging up, they're not answering, things like that. And it is important to at least be aware and get yourself out of the general population, so that at some point hopefully we can end this thing. But you just wanted to make you aware of some of the things that we're dealing with the case tracing portion of it.
Okay. I've got a note on here that says include library.
Yeah, that was my note. So that was just a reminder for myself, and yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
There was the news that came out between the last meeting and this meeting regarding the Pfizer boosters. So that was for the CDC recommendation was people 65 years and older and residents in long-term care settings should receive a Pfizer booster shot at least 6 months after their Pfizer primary series. People aged 50 to 64 years with underlying medical conditions should receive a booster shot at least 6 months after the Pfizer primary series. People aged 18 to 49 years with underlying medical conditions may receive a booster shot of Pfizer at least 6 months after their Pfizer primary series, based on their individual benefits and risks. And I would say that probably is through consultation with their primary care. And then people aged 18 to 64 years who are at increased risk for COVID-19 exposure and transmission because of occupational or institutional setting may receive a booster shot of Pfizer at least 6 months after the Pfizer primary series, based on their individual benefits and risks. So it's specific to people that originally received Pfizer vaccine. They can go back and get this booster shot if they meet any of those criteria. That's it as far as that goes. An update on that public health excellence grant. So like I said, we hired that public health educator. And so she started, I think, 3 weeks ago. And so she's the one that'll be putting these reports together. And I think Jim's putting together a survey to send out to the boards to see if there's any things that they would like her to do. So I think it's going to be public outreach, things for websites, whether it be on ours or yours, things like that she can do to kind of, deal with some of the things that we dealt with at the beginning of COVID, as far as getting information out that I didn't really have time to do, but she would.
Okay.
We also hired a part-time food inspector, so she's half-time, and I think she's just about ready to start getting out on her own. So it'll be Bridget, who you're kind of used to, and then Shelley is her name. She'll be working half a week to do that too. And then we just today was his first day. We hired a new sanitarian, so he's also got to go through training. He's right out of college, but they think that he'll be a good fit and it'll be worth it.
And these some of these are at the staff level.
These are at Neshoba, and they were paid for by that grant. So I think we got about $220,000 that we were rewarded, and it was to fill those 2.5 positions. So hopefully we can make them work to the best of our ability. And I think the biggest thing that Jim wants right now is if you have any ideas for that public health educator, stuff that we can do outreach wise, then that's kind of going to be her role.
Okay. We need that individual to come and talk to us a while? No, right? That's well said.
And then going over the data. So I just pulled it from the last time that we met. So this was reported on September 9th. Ashburnham had 24 positive COVID cases over the previous 2-week period, reported Thursday last week, so September 30th. there were 18 cases, so it's gone down a little bit. It's been fluctuating right around 20 cases for the past few weeks, though. And then vaccination numbers, they have gone up a little bit. So the 12 to 15 year population, when we have met before, it was at 45% fully vaccinated. Last week it was reported that there's 52% of that population that's vaccinated. 16 to 19 years old was at 50%. They're at 55% now. 20 to 29 years old was at 60%. They are now at 62%. 30 to 49 was at 59%. They are now at 61%. The 50 to 64 years old, fully vaccinated, was at 66%. They're now at 67%. And then the 65 to 74 didn't change because that was greater than 95% of those people that were vaccinated. And the 75 plus went up from 94% to 95%. And so as a town, it increased 1 percentage point from 58% to 59%. But, some people are still going out and getting vaccinated, which is a.
And the state's 65%,
So the state is, Worcester County's at 68%, 1 dose, 62% fully vaccinated. And then Massachusetts is at 68% fully vaccinated. So 9 percentage points behind the state and 3 percentage points behind the county.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're moving.
Yeah.
And then so I had that note on there regarding the library because I had got a call from Debbie Phillips, town council, today. And so I guess the library is interested in instituting a policy that would require masks in the building. And she was more asking me where the town stood as far as numbers and kind of some data to back up the decision. So it's not a personal decision. There's something that they can look at and say, this is the reason. I said, well, the town has consistently been below the county and state averages for vaccination rates. And I think that alone might support their case if their concern is that they can't ask people if they're vaccinated if they come in without a mask, and they just want everybody to wear a mask, and they can assume that about 40% of the population isn't currently vaccinated. And I get it, it's a little bit different than the town hall where people kind of come and go and they do their business and they're out. And at the library, there are people that might be hanging out in different things. Kids that go there and read books, and I think they probably have story times and things like that.
So she would like us to mandate it?
So she doesn't want us to mandate it. Basically what she said is it would be helpful if there was some support from the Board of Health for the policy. And so that's really what she's looking for, is just,
Can we put a note on door, we encourage wearing a mask by all?
So I think that's what she's gonna ask them, if they would be more comfortable with kind of a strong suggestion as opposed to a requirement. The difference between most of the town buildings and the library is that the Board of Trustees does actually have control of the building, whereas the Board of Selectmen have control of the majority of the other town buildings. And so she said they can come up with their own policies.
So if the trustees wanted to, they could just say, we want mask wearing when you come into the library.
Yeah,
Okay.
and her only concern was that it was going to vary from the other policies in the other town buildings, and she thought that if they did go forward with making that a requirement, then she said we should have some kind of signage that indicates that there is going to be a change between this building and that building. If it's a requirement, if it's a strong suggestion, then there's no need to do that, because people still have a choice. They're just really urging people to wear a mask regardless of vaccination status.
I would vote for the strong encourage you all to wear masks, all because they're kids.
Well, the only problem with a strong encouragement is you're gonna still have people who go, I'm not going to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And if they're working there and they're thinking, we want to make it as safe as possible, you got to go that step above the strong encouragement.
Are the employees voicing a concern there? Is that part of it?
So I think it's the trustees, the employees, and there might be residents that have brought it to them too, and that's why it's on the table. I spoke to I don't know if it's the chairman, but the head of the library trustees. And, you know, she basically said that it's been something that's been discussed, but it wasn't something that they wanted to take action on up until now.
So what are they looking for from us? Just our backing if they do it?
Pretty much.
So I guess it depends on what it is, right?
Right, right.
I mean, if it's a mandate, are we gonna mandate one building and not
Right,
all
right.
buildings? I mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't-
pick and choose what we get behind, or, I mean, strong suggestions are one thing, that's, I understand it, but.
I don't, my granddaughter, I've gone in there to the library with them, and some people have masks, some don't, and my granddaughter was just at Lowell Library. And some people had masks and some didn't at the door, just, you know, it's not required, but we encourage. So, I mean, if our numbers were really low, I would be concerned, but, you know, we seem to be with the state, and to date, there hasn't been a mandate or even a strong encouragement to wear a mask, right?
So it's still the same guidance that they had provided. Most recently, it was if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. If you are unvaccinated, then you're encouraged to wear a mask in public places.
So I guess, and you're the messenger, I get it, but I don't know exactly what they would want us to do, or what them would want.
So I think, you know, originally when they came up with this idea, the discussion was going to be about a requirement. I think that
So they can do that without us.
they could do that without us.
So if they said on their sign, trustees of this library have voted to require that anyone come in his library. has to wear a mask.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So that they
I would put it, leave it in there.
They can do it. It's just, you know, I think what Debbie's saying is with all the COVID decisions that were made, they were made in the best interest of public health. And so to have the support of the Board of Health would be helpful in them making that decision. If you guys aren't comfortable with it, it is what it is.
Well, I guess I'm wondering how they're looking for us to support them.
So, you know,
Well, if they were the mandate, they're
What-
looking for us to support the mandate.
Right.
exactly.
And are they
you know,
gonna
what-
say the Board of Trustees and the Board of Health?
No, it would just be something that they could provide in their decision, should anybody want to look into how the decision was made. And so, you know, the one thing that Debbie had encouraged them to do was to look at the data and make a decision to require, to strongly encourage, whatever it might be, based on the data in town, and put whatever they want in place based on, you know, facts. And then, you know, what I talked to Debbie about was, you know, she said they can require it if they want. I don't see any legal issue with it, but I would encourage them to make it a strong suggestion. And they could word it a few different ways where, you know, somebody's not going to look at it and say it's a suggestion, although it is. You know, there's ways that you can say, you know, whatever. I think she looked at the Gardner Public Library and they had something. It was a strong encouragement, but it wasn't worded that way.
So we say they mandate, as a board, I guess I can, it's wordsmithing, right? I can get behind supporting their decision to mandate, but it's not our mandate.
Correct.
Yeah, I guess, you know, you treat all the buildings in town, if we do different buildings, it's gonna get messy.
As long as we're not mandating it, I mean, it's up to the trustees.
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, if
I mean,
you guys
really,
were mandating
like a
it, you would
local
actually,
business saying, I mandate it, or I support you.
you'd be holding a public hearing, you'd actually be adopting a set of regulations.
Right.
It would be a much different process than what they need to go through to do it. So, you know, at this point, it would just be that they're looking for your backing, whether you want to give it or you don't want to give it. That's what they're asking for. And at least when they approached Debbie, their intention was to make it a requirement, but that could potentially change. And you can stand behind a strong suggestion as opposed to a mandate because, you know, whatever it might be, you don't think that the data supports it. You don't think that a mandate is necessary, but a strong suggestion would be, whatever it might be. It's really.
How long's the
your
library
decision.
been open? Been months?
It's been months, yeah. I mean, I think they opened up just after the town hall did, and I want to say that was June 1st.
June, July, August, September. I would have thought all the social gathering, all the large stuff was gonna happen already.
And then we would have saw these numbers even go further. Again, trying to look at the data. If the data was going down, yeah, why put, those employees at risk, but the numbers look better. as we
They're
look
better
forward.
from a month ago, yeah.
That would be my.
But I think supporting a strong recommendation is fine. I mean, and if we can do that, that's fine. If they mandate it, that's fine too, because I'd like to keep the library open.
Right.
If they feel they need
Yeah.
it.
So as a board, we can support a strong suggestion, and if they feel they want to go above that, they can go above it because they're the trustees of the library, but we're willing to support a strong suggestion.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I support anything somebody wants to do in the interest of health.
Right.
I'm not gonna mandate it.
Yeah.
But if they want to mandate it, and they find that that's what's best for their business, I think it's gonna hurt their business personally, but what's best for their business, I can support them making a decision. But I'm not gonna, as a board member, vote to mandate anything.
Right.
I mean, I think just looking for then the backing of it and not for us to go out and write a regulation to it, so.
Correct.
Plus, we'd have to have a public meeting.
Yeah,
and we'd
so,
have-
that would be completely different, and if you did that, it would control whatever buildings you chose
Right.
it to control, or the
Yeah.
general public, or, however you wrote that order. But this is specific to the library. It's something that the trustees want to consider, and as part of that consideration, they are asking for the Board of Health's opinion on it.
I mean, certainly we understand this is a third rail for most discussions. And I haven't heard any news that the library has fostered outbreaks, right? So,
Yeah, no,
so
no.
the data, I get 4 out of 10 are not vaccinated, but it also has been open since June without incident. I mean, it could be the voice of a few that's gonna affect the many, but.
Yeah, if you told me some
Whatever it
staff,
is.
half the staff members were affected or have a high risk, something going on that way, I wouldn't want to put people in danger. But again, I think it all comes down to private institutions that they can put a sign and no, if you don't wear a mask, you're not allowed in here, period. We mandate.
Yeah, I mean, with proper exemptions and everything, if that's sort of.
I mean, Creative Connection, any business could do that, right?
Yeah.
You don't wear a mask, you don't come in here. So, okay. So what they want, feedback, they want to.
Yeah, I mean, at least what I'm hearing is you guys would support a strong suggestion. You're a little bit more
Strong
reluctant. to-
suggestion,
to stand behind it.
yes, that's what you're hearing.
Yep.
Yes.
But we also understand if they want to take it beyond that on their own shoulders, that's their decision.
And your thought
I mean, this is on
process
their
is
own
that
shoulders too,
the data is improving. You're not aware of any outbreaks that you trace back to the library. And you've tried to align your policies with Mass DPH and CDC.
For sure.
Okay.
On the same thread, Rick, do we know what our responsibility, I don't think we have any employers that are 100 or greater in town. If that ends up passing from the federal level with mandating vaccination.
I don't know how that works. So I know like with our nursing agency, they are required to because we do Medicare stuff, but I don't think any of the town employees would really be affected by that because I think it's only federal employees. It's not anybody that falls under like
Well, I mean,
Massachusetts
it's-
retirement plan or anything like that.
Yeah, it's written today, if it passes, that any employer 100 or greater in the aggregate.
Oh, regardless
could
of
be
who
more.
you're.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
employed by.
federal.
Gotcha, okay. No, I hadn't seen that, but I would assume that there's probably more than 100 employees for the town. You gotta factor in your DPW, highway, cemeteries, there's quite a few people that work for the town.
I don't know, in town being one thing, I don't think there's any others, private companies. I just don't know what our roles gonna be in that. if
It
comes to-
wouldn't, so it's an employer role, assuming that the language is similar to the federal policy that they put in place. So it's really the responsibility of the employer to comply.
Okay. I'm not trying to.
No,
That's all I know. I don't know about that specific one, but I would assume it piggybacks off a similar language.
The healthcare sign that's out on the lawn out there, what's going on with that? What's the
So
timing?
I would assume that that goes along with their flu clinic.
Yeah.
So the schedule is posted online.
Okay,
And they are requesting that you do registration ahead of time online. If you don't, they'll take walk-ins and they'll do paper.
oh, okay,
But that's the request, is to fill out.
yeah,
as
they
much
want
of
to,
that
how
info
much,
online.
what's the volume?
Just get people through and not have people waiting around for too long, under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So you'll get people in, get people out.
Okay.
And that's over at the high school.
At the high school, yeah, okay. All right, do you have any other business?
That's all that I've got.
I'll go around the table, any other business, John?
No,
Pat?
Nothing for me.
I
Scott?
don't know, can you think of anything, Jim?
no.
All right, so we're ending meeting at 6:48.
What are you doing, bringing this into the,
I had it when I got the main.
oh, are you up in Maine?
Give it, say to me.